The story opens in the rugged and sun-scorched terrain of Kenya. In the middle of a conflict zone, we find an American Special Forces soldier deployed alongside his comrades. The sky above is hazy with dust, and the distant sounds of gunfire echo through the air. Suddenly, their helicopter plummets from the sky, crashing violently into the earth. The deafening impact sends a shockwave through the area, and chaos erupts immediately. The soldier scrambles to regain his bearings and catches a horrific sight. Two of his fellow soldiers have been reduced to nothing but scorched remains, their bodies obliterated as if struck by an otherworldly force. Before he can fully process what just happened, an explosion detonates nearby, the force slamming into him, throwing him to the ground and plunging his world into darkness. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself in a dimly lit prison cell. The walls are cracked and damp, the air thick with the scent of dust and rust. He clutches his head, realizing something terrifying. He has no memory of who he is. Not his mission, not his past, not even his own name. Confusion gnaws at him as he stumbles to his feet. He reaches toward the wall, prying loose a brick to peek outside. Beyond the wall lies a vision of utter destruction. Buildings reduced to rubble, the streets littered with debris, and an eerie silence hanging in the air. The sight fills him with dread, and he instinctively cries out in shock. From the cell beside his, a voice cuts sharply through the silence, warning him to stop shouting unless he wants them both dead. The voice belongs to a woman who introduces herself as Nadia, a French doctor who had been stationed here providing humanitarian services. Nadia explains that the Earth is under siege by alien invaders, and these are not just any aliens. They are robotic, relentless, and merciless. If they hear his voice, they will come here, and they will kill them without hesitation. She also explains that it wasn't the aliens who locked them in here, but rather a local militia gang that captured them. Before either of them can speak further, the gang members arrive. They open the soldier's cell, eyeing him with suspicion. He understands their language and tries to reason with them, hoping to strike some form of agreement. But they have no intention of negotiation. They want him dead. The tension explodes into a sudden brawl. In the chaos, the soldier grapples with one of the men, and both crash through a nearby window, falling hard to the ground below. Meanwhile, the gang opens Nadia's cell, intending to kill her. But Nadia is no helpless prisoner. She's a trained army doctor with survival instincts. She swiftly disarms one of her attackers, seizing his rifle, and takes them down in a flurry of decisive shots. Down below, the soldier recovers from the fall just in time to confront the gang leader, whom he kills in a brutal fight. But another man appears, wielding a strange electrical weapon. The man thrusts it forward, intending to shock the soldier into unconsciousness. Yet something bizarre happens. The instant the device touches the soldier, the surge of electricity doesn't harm him. Instead, the current reverses, traveling back into the attacker, electrocuting him and knocking him out cold. The soldier stares in bewilderment, unable to understand what just happened. Then, for the first time, he sees one of the alien machines. A towering robotic figure, its metal frame gleaming under the harsh light, glides across the street. Its movements are calculated, precise, almost predatory. Civilians scatter in panic, but the soldier stays low, slipping into the wreck of a nearby car. The robot approaches, scanning the area with an eerie blue light. It passes the beam over the soldier, the light rippling across his body, and then, inexplicably, it moves on without attacking. The soldier makes his way back to the building and finds Nadia. She asks for his name, but he admits he doesn't know it. She inspects the remains of his tattered uniform, spotting only part of a name patch that reads Bio. The rest is torn away. She decides to call him Bo with no time to waste. They scavenge weapons and prepare to leave. Bo insists they head toward the nearest American military base, believing it to be a safe zone. Nadia warns him that any base would likely have already been overrun, but he refuses to listen, leaving her with no choice but to follow. They take an abandoned vehicle and set out. But before long, their journey is interrupted when gunfire erupts from the roadside. The vehicle is hit, spinning out of control before crashing into the dirt. Armed men surround them, Kenyan soldiers, suspicious and hostile. Nadia tries to reason with them, explaining they are not enemies, but the Kenyan commander notices a strange tattoo on Bo's hand, and his expression hardens. Before the commander can act, Bo springs forward, seizing his weapon and forcing him at gunpoint. Bo demands to know the meaning behind the tattoo, and the commander reveals something unsettling. Near the border, there is an American military camp filled with radar systems and massive dish antennas. According to him, these installations are what brought the robotic aliens here in the first place. With no other leads, Bo and Nadia take one of the Kenyan vehicles and drive toward the border. Along the way, they notice thick electrical cables strung across the terrain, meant as a barricade to keep the robots out. But as they drive, a robot begins pursuing them, forcing Nadia to speed across the electrified lines. The vehicle takes heavy punishment and eventually sputters to a stop, broken down. The robot is still in pursuit. They hide in the brush, staying low as the mechanical creature scans the area. Nearby, they spot a man with his young daughter. Before they can warn them, the robot kills the man instantly. It turns toward the girl, raising its weapon. Nadia yells and fires into the air, drawing the machine's attention toward them instead. The robot scans Bo again, and once more it doesn't attack. Then, just as quickly, it turns and kills the girl before disappearing into the ruins. The scene leaves them shaken and confused. Why does it keep sparing Bo? With no vehicle, they continue on foot until they hear a man's voice speaking English. They follow the sound and find an old radio transmitter inside a half-destroyed structure. But it's a trap. Locals have set it up as bait to capture anyone passing through. The two are overpowered and tied up. Shortly afterward, two bikers race past with a robot close behind them. The locals use Bo and Nadia as decoys to lure the machine into range, then attack it. One man snags the robot with a chain, pulling it down hard, but more robots soon arrive. Gunfire erupts, chaos exploding in every direction. The bikers speed away, the robots chasing them into the distance. Bo and Nadia manage to free themselves in the confusion and continue on foot. They come across a narrow bridge and begin to cross, but Bo notices a strange flash of light reflecting from beneath it. He fires a shot downward. Investigating, they find a wounded man, a photographer clutching a camera. He shows them countless photographs he's taken of the alien invasion. Blood seeps through his clothes, and his voice trembles with pain. He tells them he can't survive much longer and offers them the camera in exchange for ending his suffering. Bo refuses, unwilling to kill him. But the photographer begins screaming, drawing dangerous attention, forcing Nadia to make the difficult choice. She takes the shot, ending his pain. With the camera and its valuable images in hand, they move on, studying the photos and videos to find a safer path. They steal another vehicle and continue toward the base. But as they drive, the car radio picks up strange static, a distortion that grows louder. The source soon becomes clear. They pass by the remains of a destroyed robot. Suddenly, an explosion rattles the horizon, and they spot multiple robots marching toward their location. They speed away, but the machines give chase. Spotting an isolated house, Bo and Nadia rush inside, hiding in the basement. A sudden roaring fills the air, not the wind, but something far more menacing. The roof shakes as a massive alien UFO hovers above, its beam locking onto them. They cling to each other as the light envelopes them, lifting them off the ground. The pull grows stronger until their grip slips. They are torn apart. Bo falls back to the earth, slamming into the ground and losing consciousness, while Nadia is pulled upward, vanishing into the alien craft. When Bo comes to, pain shoots through his leg. His ankle is injured. He wraps it tightly and pushes himself to keep moving, limping toward the radar station. But when he arrives, his heart sinks. The entire base is destroyed, the ground scorched, and no American soldiers remained up. Bo leaves the destroyed radar station behind and pushes onward, determined to survive and find answers. His path leads him into the outskirts of a small ruined town. The streets are eerily quiet, littered with rubble and twisted metal. But then he notices movement, groups of armed survivors entrenched behind barricades, exchanging heavy fire with several robotic aliens. These fighters move with precision, wielding weapons unlike any Bo has seen before. The guns emit bursts of electromagnetic energy, powerful enough to drop a robot in a single hit. As Bo edges closer, one of the robots breaks away from the battle and strides toward him. Its glowing sensors sweep over his body as it scans him from head to toe. The blue light pulses once, then the robot simply turns and walks away, leaving Bo unharmed. Confusion floods his mind again. Why do they never attack him? Before he can dwell on it, a sudden overload of images bursts into his head. Flashes of memory, fragmented visions of his past, voices, and chaos. The pain is overwhelming, and his body crumples to the ground. When Bo wakes again, he's lying on a cot inside a fortified facility. His injured leg has been treated, bandaged with precision. Around him are the same armed survivors from the battle outside. They explain that they are part of a resistance force, using specially designed electromagnetic pulse weapons, EMP devices, to fight the machines. Bo demands to know why the robots never harm him. The resistance members glance at one another, then decide to take him to the man responsible for creating their weapons. They lead Bo to an engineer, a grizzled man surrounded by sketches, tools, and half-assembled devices. On the table before him lies an enormous EMP cannon, larger than anything Bo has ever seen. The engineer explains that if this massive EMP could be detonated directly beneath the alien mothership, it could send a pulse strong enough to disable every robot connected to it, wiping them all out at once. But before they can plan further, an urgent message comes through. Multiple robots are heading directly toward their location. Panic ripples through the room. The engineer spreads out drawings of various robots, one of which depicts a machine holding a human figure. Something about the image triggers Bo's memory. He recalls being seized by a robot earlier, its cold metal grip pinning him, while a device was injected into his body. The realization hits him like a bolt of lightning. The aliens implanted a tracker inside him. That's why they never attack him. He's their live beacon, constantly transmitting his location. And now he understands. Because of him, the robots have found this facility. The resistance fighters' faces harden. They see him as a liability, maybe even a threat. Some want to kill him on the spot. But Bo steps forward, determined, and says he has a plan. He tells them to use him as bait. Let the robots follow him straight into a trap where they can detonate the giant EMP and destroy them all in one strike. The room falls silent, then slowly, the fighters nod in agreement. It's risky, but it's their best chance. They load the giant EMP weapon onto a transport and prepare to move through an underground tunnel network to avoid detection. The damp, narrow tunnels twist and turn, lit only by flickering lamps. Every footstep echoes. Then disaster strikes. One of the fighters accidentally trips a wire, setting off a blast nearby. Dust and debris rain down, and above them, the distant hum of the alien mothership grows louder. The UFO is moving toward a nearby area crowded with civilians. Bo knows they must reach it first. They push through the tunnels, but the mechanical screeches of pursuing robots draw closer. Two of their fighters are cut down in a spray of plasma fire, their bodies collapsing to the ground. One female fighter, bleeding from a wound, realizes they can't all escape. She orders Bo and the others to keep going with the weapon, while she stays behind to hold off the machines. Bo hesitates, but her determined stare leaves no room for argument. The last thing he sees before disappearing into the shadows is her detonating a grenade, engulfing herself and the advancing robots in a fiery blast. The remaining team emerges from the tunnels into the open, hauling the massive EMP device toward the target zone. Above them, the alien mothership looms, its massive frame blotting out the sun. On the ground below, dozens of civilians are herded together by patrolling robots. Without hesitation, Bo aims the EMP weapon and fires at one of the machines. The pulse hits hard, dropping the robot instantly and creating an opening for the civilians to run. Screams, gunfire, and the hum of alien engines fill the air. But the robots fight back. Without a power source, the weapon is useless. Bo's mind races, and then he remembers the strange incident from earlier, when the man tried to shock him, and the current had instead flowed through Bo's body into the attacker. The tracker implant the aliens placed inside him has somehow given him the ability to channel electricity. The realization hits him hard. He is the battery they need. Without hesitation, Bo grabs a fallen robot, placing one hand on its sparking core. Arcs of blue-white energy surge up his arm, burning his nerves. With his other hand, he clamps onto the EMP's power input. The pain is blinding, every muscle seizes, every breath feels like fire, but he refuses to let go. The current surges through him, into the machine, and the EMP roars to life. A pulse erupts outward, flooding the battlefield with a wave of pure energy. Robots collapse instantly, their systems fried. Above, the mothership trembles, its lights flickering before it loses all power, dropping toward the earth. The deafening crash shakes the ground as debris rains from the sky. Bo drops to his knees, smoke curling from his skin. Around him, the battlefield has fallen silent. The surviving civilians stare in disbelief, the resistance fighters raising their weapons in triumph. Against impossible odds, they have won. As the dust settles, Bo looks toward the horizon. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he knows the war isn't over. Somewhere out there, more ships may still be coming. But for now, humanity has scored its first victory against the invaders, thanks to the soldier who didn't even remember his own name.